Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to my Prussian campaign, and we are at the end of the last battle, which is the Battle of Saruga, in which we successfully took. As of right now, we're just moving our mortars out because there is an American army, and the reason why I'm moving my mortars out in the first place is because I do not want my when the enemy army attacks your castle, your mortars after the battle will disappear. So that's the sad part. It's a glitch, I think. I don't know why it causes that, but it just does. So I'm moving them out. As you can see, I have an army that is right next to Izu. Is actually Gunther's army, which is I really want to adopt him. But like Gunther's army is going to be taking care of the rest of the Izu Peninsula. The United States is, I don't know what it's going to do, but it's sending geishas to torment me, and it also offers me a peace treaty, and I reject. Partly because I want their land, and partly because your stuff I need. And because last episode, we did a thing called, what do we call it? Abolishing swords. The other Western powers are pretty dang happy with us, so that's wonderful. However, that is not going to solve our current situation with, the war with the United States, because I'm still trying to get more troops onto the battlefield. As you can see, Gunther right here is just trying to attack Shimoda, which, like I said, spoiler, it is going to be held by the United States until the very end of the war. Naval bombardment, I'm doing it every turn, but for some reason in this mod, naval bombardment really sucks as compared to the naval bombardments in regular Fall of the Samurai, which they do a ton of damage. However, it could be just because I don't have that many ships. United Kingdom and the Satchel Alliance declare war, so that's interesting. Well, now that you mentioned it, I really need to look at the map. But anyway, across the board, so far so good. Back in my capital, I'm just producing more troops because I need a larger army, and because my economy can somewhat afford it. Continuing on, do I want a German waiter, or do I want a Mauser? I of course want a Mauser off the bat. Going back to ending the turn, we're just gonna see what the United States does, and they decide to sally out. Actually, no, this is not even sally out. This is just straight outright attacking me on the battlefield. As you can see, here's my general on the battlefield. It is Gunther, and obviously that's his last name, by the way. And you can see in the front lines I have some Marines, which I purposely sent all my Marines in this army for, what do you call it, sake of clarity. Brunswick Infantry and Colonial Line Infantry. And obviously this battle is a pretty dang wooded area. You can see my two cannons. One is a captured American artillery system, and one is my own colonial battery. I'm just going to unlimber them right in front of this tree line. And what I'm going to do is going to use them as massive shotguns. And speaking of the enemy, this is the enemy army. At first I thought if it's a garrison army, it's quite poor. But it is actually not a garrison army. It's actually a pretty good substantial army. And obviously we are just opening fire when they are coming in range. So yes. As you can see, my guys are just getting in place. And talking about the shotguns, yeah, these are massive shotguns. There's a quote from Napoleon called "A whiff's a brave shot," and there's actually more to that quote, but I'm just gonna use this literally like a massive shotgun effect. The difference between him and me is that I'm using it on the battlefield, he's using it against a peasant mob, so yeah. And yet, from the point of view of the enemies, it's not pretty. Oh yes, cannonballs do bounce. So in regular Shogun 2, cannonballs do not bounce. They are explosive shells that if they hit the enemy, they explode. Now, of course, this game starts in 1857, which means cannonballs at this time have not been set to exploding rounds yet. Meaning these guns, they will bounce like the exact same way that you will see in Napoleonic combat. And on my left flank, I'm having a lot of my cavalry my only cavalry unit, which is Colonial Saber Cavalry, just mass up. And this is pretty interesting because you can see in the background we are just opening fire on the enemy. As you can see, we have some nice flowers here, and using them as cover, which is kind of ironic because war is not a pretty business and flowers represent beauty and and the good things of life. Ironic. Finally, I decided to go for a cavalry charge on their exposed right flank, so the American right flank, which is my left. And I decided to charge straight in, and we eventually rout 2 units before the enemy general decides to charge us. And obviously, I'm gonna withdraw because, well, the enemy general, I do have a special treat for him. I'm gonna withdraw, and when he's so far away from his own troops, I'll just attack, counterattack. Obviously, my Saber militia is better than his general's bodyguard, which is wonders. And obviously, for some reason, after I have this I have this 1 unit of cavalry charge in, the entire American line just starts charging at me without even firing. And you can see some of the things that they are doing. Like, literally, they're not even bothering to hold fire or shoot. They're just straight outright charging at me. And it's good for my guys because we're just pummeling them to death. As you can see with this state foot that is coming straight at us. Unfortunately, you see right there, one of my shots was a dud, so it didn't even go off, which actually does happen, so I'm pretty glad Shogun 2 did this. Well, like, the mod did this, to be exact. As you can see in the background, we're just chasing off the enemy, and I ordered my troops to stop shooting. I also have my general go up and start chasing, which is what I really need to end the siege quick. And this is pretty much the battle. We've lost some. They lost 700, we lost around 300, and essentially Shimoda is near captured. And for some reason, enemy geishas are coming out of the blue, and one of our subjects has been assassinated. I do not know who. It's not any of my generals, as I figured out. And I decided to siege Shimoda on the next turn, and to my horror, it is a full stack garrison with a reinforcement army that is led by the faction leader. So yeah, I'm gonna order the retreat. I'm gonna send more troops to Izu because I'm fearing that massive army is now at this point gonna counterattack, which is even worse. There are some units that are at Suruga, and I need to send them forward and back and stuff like that. We are bombarding the military school, and first, yeah, the enemy is just producing a lot of buildings. Once again, we need a lot more troops, so I am asking for, literally, essentially what I call conscription, although there is no conscription, conscripts in the game. And, we're just gonna do our best to get as many troops as possible. I want to, take Suruga out of tax, and that's gonna be important. Kai, I'm just gonna have my agent spot Kai, and there's nothing. The enemy is trying to ambush me on the forest. I thought, I was thinking that they were gonna attack me next turn, but as we can see later on, they don't. The American fleet is still there, so that's gonna be a problem. My army in the north, Nagita, is still there, running around, doing literally nothing. The reason why I had an army up there, is because I was literally afraid that Northern Alliance, which sometimes they do, break their alliance and with me and declare war and order in full-scale invasion. So I was preparing an army for that. The United States once again offers peace, and once again I'm gonna reject. And yep, we're going to continue on. On the next turn, one of our agents has been detected. One of our guys have been wounded. I do not know who, and to my horror, it was Gunter. Gunter has been wounded, so that is the worst situation in the world. Yeah, it really made me recalculate my entire position because at this point I really feared an enemy attack at Izu. But however, remember, I still have that many troops in Izu, so it's not really a big threat. And finally, we're gonna take Kai. We're gonna assault Kai. So as of right now, we are gonna assault Kai, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the battlefield, or not. There are some things I have to check, and then I realized nope, there's nothing I have to check, and now let's begin the siege. Siege of Kai is pretty interesting. As you can see, we have a lot of buildings left and right, and if this map looks similar, probably you've seen it somewhere, maybe? Yeah, it's you guys seen it somewhere. This is literally the exact same map that was the Battle of Mishima, I think. Yes, this was the exact same map as Mishima. Although I could be wrong, it could be another map, but we definitely seen this map before. As a matter of fact, it's the exact same map, well, not the exact same time, but exact same place. Heck, even the sand looks the same. And as a matter of fact, because it looks such similar, and because last time I did such a good job at taking the fortress from the exact same fortress type, I'm gonna do it again. And we're just gonna watch my mortars rain hell on this enemy tower. And towers, really, guys, they do a lot of damage. I suggest if you guys want to start a siege, destroy the towers for all. Please, just destroy the towers. It really makes you recalculate your entire situation. I do not know why towers are so OP, although it does make for some fun games, especially in multiplayer. That was a little bit of overkill, but hey. It's dead. And finally it's been destroyed to be exact. Finally we have our guys moving up and we're just opening fire on the enemy. Why does this sound so familiar? Oh yes, because I've done the exact same thing with almost all my sieges. At this point, I really want to just stop talking and allow you guys to watch the remainder of the siege. So yes, I'll be back. Alright, we are back, and we have this massive blob of colonial infantry just pushing up, and we are just gonna attack the fortress. We're obviously not gonna scale the walls because we're gonna take some casualties while scaling the walls. I do scaling when it is absolutely 100% necessary. If it's not necessary, I don't scale the walls. As you can see in the back lines, we're just having more and more units push up. And speaking of pushing up, my first 2 units are going through this exact same ditch that we've seen in the last campaign, in the last video in the series, in the last time we did this exact same siege battle. Sounds familiar? Yeah. And we're just gonna push through the gates, and we're just gonna take the city, or at least it seems, because at this point I didn't really realize what enemy forces are there, and because I couldn't really see. I don't know if that bug is showing up for you guys, but I remember in regular Shogun 2, you can see all the enemy units, and the enemy can see all your units. So yeah, that's pretty much a bug. If it's not a bug, then I really appreciate the fact that it makes you really think about your strategy and positioning. But we're just forming up our troops right now, as of right now, and I was calculating where should I push, and I finally decide to push. And once again, nice job with the buildings. Some of these buildings that you see are literally modded in, so very nice job from the creators. And well, as you can see, I'm pushing up through the neighborhood. You see a massive blob. Well, yes, now you see a massive blob of line infantry. Well, actually, no, not line infantry, militia, to be exact, as militia, and they're just coming straight towards us. I was asking my troops to open fire, but for some reason they just keep pushing up. So I decided, you know what, screw it. Have them pull back, and I'm going to have this line prepare to open fire. As you can see, our enemy is slowly moving towards us in literally a walking pace. So yeah, and finally I decided to open up. And as you can see right now, there is another unit that's charging straight out from behind around the buildings, and yep, they're just charging straight at. So yeah, it's gonna be hand-to-hand combat, and this is only the best part. As you guys just saw, with that unit defeated, another unit just comes piling straight towards us. And yeah, it's kind of demoralizing to be the commander when you see just this massive blob of enemy troops just running straight at you. Some aren't even firing even though they have guns, which, let's be honest, it's kind of smart because their guns are terrible compared to mine, as mine is just try to get your troops in melee combat. I have a line behind them, but my guys are not willing to fire, because if they do fire, it means friendly fire, so they don't fire, which is smart on the AI. What else is going on? On the right, we have this unit of spear levies just trying to charge towards us. They decided to, for some reason, retreat, and I gave the order to charge instead, and at least one unit at a time. And here's the reason. I'm gonna have this one unit pin the enemy, I'm gonna have this unit come on their supposed flank, and I have that third unit, as you can see in the background, coming straight toward to flank them. And eventually they rout, and here's where the things get crazy on the breachhead. In the center, well, this is my center, the enemy is just piling units. They're not even bothering to like spread them out or anything, they're just straight outright piling units just at this one poor colonial line infantry. And yeah, my guys are just trying their best to open fire, but for some reason, like literally the second they come, well actually no, they're just straight charging towards us, and finally, like a meter away from actually charging in, they rout. And this is why you see that massive blob just trying to get out of the fortress, because they know that, yeah, it's game over for them. Finally, we're just storming through the keep, and yeah, this is essentially the end of the battle. So this was the Battle of Kofu in 1858. Interesting. As you guys can see, we only lost 64 guys, while compared to the enemy's entire garrison. Kai has been actually taken without a lot of blood, at least for my guys, at least. But the enemy army is still out there in the field, and now this season is autumn, and when it turns to winter, we could literally starve the enemy out to come and attack us. Although the enemy will be taking attrition anyway in winter. I was fearing that a massive enemy army was going to try to attack Kai to retake Kai, which is probably the smart decision, but it's also the most unlikeliest option because Kai is heavily defended. As you can see in Nagita, I'm just continuing to produce armies, units, left and right. And because one of my generals is dead, I decided to eventually move down a general. But for now, I actually meet up with some other factions. One of them is Satsuma, and that means if you meet up with a new faction, that means you can trade. And they want a trade. They don't want a military alliance, which is smart. I should have asked them for money, but I was really focused on war, so I didn't ask them for money, which is kind of dumb on me. The United States obviously will want peace, but I'm not going to give them peace. At least not right now. Actually, no, I'm never going to give them peace because I want them to be destroyed. What else can I do? There's nothing else I can do in Suruga and all the newly conquered provinces. So we're going to do nothing. I can't even exempt them from taxes. So yeah, that's a problem. And yeah, I'm just looking around to see if there's stuff, and I decided to go for end the turn. And as you can see, we finally spot the United Kingdom with a few ships. No surprise, the United Kingdom is famous for ships. The army is coming out of Izu to, I don't know what they're gonna do. When I mean Izu, I mean the Izu Peninsula. One of our generals who was assassinated, Gunter, was recovered from the assassination. And Gunter, as a matter of fact, is now in my capital. So I literally have two generals in the capital. One is, his name is not Gunter, is it? Yeah. Yeah, I have two armies in the capital. I have three armies. Ralph, which is literally my faction heir, and my son, is literally in Fukushima. I haven't moved them at all because I thought Gunter was more than enough to take care of the job, but now I need to move Ralph. Yeah, that's a problem. I have my other general, and I'm still trying to produce units left and right. So in Nagita, so that's a problem. Yeah, everything's a problem here, especially with war with the United States. The war with the United States, I'm definitely 100% winning, but it is just a pain at this point. I am scouting, having my military advisor scout Ichigo, and the thinking behind it was that since I'm not at war with Ichigo or Nagaoka, I think that's the province currently holding Ichigo, I'm gonna have my military advisor scout. And you see me there doing some micromanaging. Yeah, the enemy faction leader Matthew this time is coming out with an army, and for some reason, the enemy army is not coming out to attack. So I decided to move my army to face the enemy. Obviously, I made a somewhat of a mistake right there, and I thought Kyle wasn't going to revolt, and actually doesn't revolt, I think. At least for the next few turns. Just trying to get that massive replenishment at Izu, and stuff is going on. There is a Northern Alliance army in my borders, but hey, what can I do? They're allies. I can't destroy the Alliance Pact. At least not yet. Eventually, I am wanting to declare war on them. I was also trying to build up armies, see what, with the money I can get, what armies can I use. But for some reason, I can't assassinate my opponent because I'm out of money. I'm kind of broke here, especially with this ongoing war, and because I cannot really tax some of my provinces. So yeah, that's gonna be a problem. I do have an agent. I'm gonna obviously send him to train some troops. And this, you see here at this stage of the campaign, I'm just doing some redundant things, left and right. And finally, the end turn sequence. As you can see, as we go later on into the campaign, most smaller factions will die, and then you see the bigger factions like Satchel Alliance, Qing Empire, and the British just take a long time because like they're massive, to put it in a nice way. I do not know how big Satchel Alliance is, and for those who are wondering what does Satchel Alliance mean, Satchel Alliance means the Satsuma Chosu Alliance, and those were the ones that supported the Emperor in the Boshin War, a war that kicked the Shogun out. And yeah, I don't think I need to explain what the United Kingdom is. And as you can see, the United Kingdom is moving ships left and right. The Americans don't do a lot, so that's interesting. We have the Dutch. Well, actually, no, we don't have the Dutch yet. The American fleet is coming around from all this sides to bombard us, and an American army is positioned right in front of Suruga. Great. Yeah, some of my agents have been detected. Peter, Otto, and yeah, Otto is my newly recruited agent. I'm gonna attempt assassination on nope. I'm gonna attempt assassination on Peter right here, and that does not kill him, but it wounds him. So that's a pain. Peter is gonna be gone, but he's not gonna be gone for long because he's gonna return onto the field. That's a problem. But hey, at least we can start replenishing in the Izu. As you can see, there is a massive American army on the battlefield, so I decided to fight it. It is in my way to Suruga, so I'm deciding to attack it. And this is actually the third battle of Fuji. And this is the reason why this is the third battle of Fuji, because the first battle was when the enemy sallied out with their, what do you call it? Well, actually, no, the first battle was not when the enemy sallied out. The first battle was the field battle that we had with Matthew, sorry. And the second battle was the Siege of Fuji, which we took. And this is the third battle, in which is another field battle. And this time, the enemy is even worse compared to the first one led by their faction leader. As you can see, my armies hasn't gotten that better. Most of my elite veteran units are replenishing, and these are my only veteran units. Prussian line infantry, not Imperial guards, life guards, and some Hessian infantry on the flanks. And in this battle, I'm doing a tactic called make the center weak and have our flanks extremely strong. And that is eventually going to pay out in a certain way. The enemy is mainly made up of these volunteers. As you can see, they look like Marines, but they're probably not. If they were Marines, I would be literally scared. You can see this massive tree line that the enemy has. I'm pretty sure there's nothing in it. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure there's something in it. We just can't see it right now. The front lines are made up of colonial line infantry for the enemy, and the back lines are mostly made up of the less trained troops. And yes, we have just more units left and right, and we can see this tree line is mainly there's troops, but we just can't see them. And you can see the geography of this battle. The enemy is mostly in this tree line, actually this massive forest, and we have to literally fight them out. And you can see my troops lining up. This is lifeguards on the extreme right flank. And finally, the enemy starts to sally out with one unit, and this is what we give them in return: a massive volley. Once again, for those that are wondering, yes, the uniforms are very beautiful. Thank you for the mod once again for doing that. I really appreciate it. Keep it going. I don't know if I'll be playing the Carlist mod, which is another mod that the creators of this mod are doing, but I am very interested. As you can see, the effects of that massive gunfire is the entire unit essentially dying. Only 3 guys are left from that entire line. As you can see, the dead bodies are here, and yeah, with that one unit routing, the enemy decides for some reason they're going to push up their entire line, which I am not against, although as you can see very soon, my line 2 is buckling because of the sheer numbers that the enemy has. Some guys of my troops are dropping left and right, and we are having a hard time we're just having a hard time dealing with the enemy numbers. But because my men are spread so thin, we are just shooting them with essentially every man we have. So that is not problematic. As you can see, the enemy is very grouped up. This is why they lose most of their battles. They are peeling some troops to their right, which I'll explain why. But their entire front is just getting mauled by superiority of my gunmen. Now you might be thinking, why are they peeling so many troops to their right, or in this case my left? It's because I have my most elite units on the right flank. Gutenberg infantry, Hessian infantry, and more Hessian infantry just open fire, trying to attempt to cross this ridge, and the enemy, for once, knows how important this ridge is, so they're sending troops upon this ridge, but the second they do, they literally are so close to my troops that I do not even need to move my camera to look at them, which is insane. It's insane how close guys can get. On the right flank, on my right flank, to be exact, my troops are just moving up, and up. And however, at this point, the main attraction is on my left flank, which is just opening up with fire. This is essentially worse than point-blank range. Like, the enemy is point-blank range to me. My men are getting mauled, but so too is the enemy. Finally, I decided to push up even more, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I really want to be literally right in front of them, and I'm literally doing that right now. For some reason, and here's the reason why most armies will reload before they go into combat, is because instances like this, I literally had to reload these guys. And finally, the enemy units decides to straight outright charge in, but after, because we are so close and we're dealing so much damage so fast, although you can't really see much of the damage, the enemy army completely routs. And this is essentially the the third battle of Fuji, so that it is another win. So all three battles, the first battle, the second battle, and the third battle of Fuji, I have won them all. Finally, at the end of the battle, we are just having my cavalry just storm in, trying to kill as many, but I don't even have them charge in. And the reason why I do not have them charge in is because these guys, the routing units, are still being shot at by my guns. And I do not want instances of friendly fire, although I do think that charging cavalry gets in more kills. But anyway, this is it for this episode. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Now, before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.